Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, how many Captain Picards does it take to screw in a light bulb? 4. There are 4 lights. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Star Trek Away Missions Picard expansion from Gale Force 9.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
The Captain Picard expansion is one of the latest additions to your Star Trek Away Missions game, and it contains many of your favorite characters from Star Trek The Next Generation that weren't featured in the previous core game. Here you get Captain Picard, Geordi LaForge, Deanna Troi, Beverly Crusher, and your not-so-favorite character, Wesley Crusher. Now, in this faction, you've got, of course, some new keywords, like, for instance, empath. Deanna Troi has the empath ability. There's a lot of different cards that trigger off her and her specific abilities. You actually have the Traveler keyword. Traveler triggers off Wesley Crusher. He has a lot of really cool abilities that you can use cards to play off of him. And for Picard, you've got Negotiation. There's a lot of cards that specifically deal with Picard's ability to negotiate, and a lot of your mission cards must be played by Captain Picard. And one of the core missions here is Strong-Willed, meaning if you can go through all of the cards in your support deck, you get 50 points at the end of the game. Now, you also have Open Dialogue. If you score 5 or more negotiation cards in this game, then you score 30 points at the end of the game. Like I say, you've got some interesting cards here. For instance, you've got Mind Over Matter. It's an interrupt. If someone attacks you, you can roll an extra defense die. If you're a Traveler, Wesley, you get to roll 2 extra defense die. You've got a Quick Retort support card where if an enemy character ends his movement within line of sight of you, you can essentially engage in an opposed skill check for diplomacy, and if you win, that character has to discard support cards. But there's also cards like the mission card Prime Directive, which allow you to score points if you did not neutralize anyone over the course of the game. So that's basically what you're getting with this game. Like I say, the faction is much more oriented toward resolving conflicts without weapons. I mean, they can certainly defend themselves. There's certainly abilities there, but it's much more about trying to find ways out of situations without using violence, which is pretty cool. It's very thematic for Picard, of course. But this is what's cool about this faction is it kind of rounds out the core characters from the core game, the Federation characters, and from the series, The Next Generation. Now, in the core game, we got Riker, Data, Worf, and Shelby, who was in 2 episodes, right? But so we finally get kind of all of the Next Generation crew here. So that's pretty cool. You finally got all of them. And as we move forward, as we get more expansions and we get more, hopefully, missions and places to fight and different planets maybe to go on away missions, that'll be important as we can kind of find ways to have these characters interact and work together. I'm interested again to see where this game goes with what factions we'll get. Like I said, there's a lot of different races and factions out there. I said a Ferengi would be cool. Maybe a Vulcan would be cool. There are so many races and different types of species on the show you could incorporate into this game that would have their own unique peculiarities. Anyway, I really enjoyed playing with the Picard faction because, as I say, it's kind of a new it's kind of a new way where you're not just necessarily being hostile all the time, which of course the Klingons are very hostile. The Romulans have these kind of slippery ways where they could get out of combat. But it's interesting here to see that framed in this idea of negotiation. And you can kind of negotiate your way out of these situations, much to the chagrin of some players who perhaps want a more hostile confrontation, more violent confrontation. So I really enjoy that. I think there's some fun cards here. We had some of the best card play I've had in this game. I had with this Captain Picard faction. So I really enjoyed it. So the recommendation for the discriminating gamer for the Captain Picard expansion to Star Wars Away Missions, Star Trek Away Missions, is buy it. Well, thank you once again for joining us on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history. I post some of my lectures on there. I would ask you to please check that out. Please subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. Also, we'd ask you to leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. Now, if you are a fan of the channel and you like the content we bring you here, we would humbly ask you to go ahead and click on the Super Thanks button on this YouTube page and leave a tip. You know, I love Star Trek, ladies and gentlemen, but I can't decide, should I watch the original series or should I watch The Next Generation? I guess you could say I'm stuck between a Spock and a Picard place.
Is the Federation seriously dealing with an alliance of the Romulans, Borg, Ferengi, and Klingons? Because we should just go home.